Good afternoon and welcome to the June 2nd closed session of the City Council of the City of Moreno Valley. The City Council receives a separate stipend from the Community Services District Board of Directors if any CSD business is conducted at this meeting. I now call the meeting to order on June 2nd at 4:04 p.m. Madam Clerk, roll call please.
Councilmember Bernard.
Here.
Councilmember Delgado.
Here, ma'am.
Councilmember Baca Santa Cruz.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gonzalez.
Here.
And Mayor Cabrera.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item C, public comments on matters on the agenda only. Do we have any requests to speak?
Yes, Mayor, we do. We have one public comment. Christopher Baca.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Council and staff and community. I'm here as a community advocate for municipal transparency, honesty, and access to public information for the community and the public. My concern here tonight is with the issues on closed session items, both closed session items, and my question is, if this council and city is so transparent, why do we have closed sessions? We need to bring this out into the open. Why not discuss the issue, conference with real property negotiators regarding the land on the corner of Redlands and Cactus? What's the big secret? Why can't we have a public information as far as so the community can see the negotiations as to how this is transpiring and how this is happening? The reason why this is happening is because previously you had an item that was put in there to hide the fact that our corrupt city attorney and our corrupt city manager tried to push an illegal act upon the residents of the city that is stealing our taxpayer money for a developer, and that was an illegal act, and that's why these things need to be transparent and out in the open. Also, a year ago, you have D2. Nobody knows what this is about. All it says is pursuing government so-and-so, number of potential cases 1. Okay, this is the same thing that happened a year and 2 months ago, where the item about the MOU and Gilman Springs was brought up in closed session. There was no reportable action, yet the manager went ahead and created an MOU that granted items of monetary value to a developer. That is straight out illegal. Not only is that going to come back to the city as an embarrassment of corruption, I ask that you bring that back up and correct that before that happens, regardless of it not being continued. It did happen. You did not have reportable action, and you approved the agenda and the minutes at the following council meeting. Therefore, this is wrong, and you need to stop these secret meetings and these negotiations with corrupt city staff. Thank you.
That concludes all public comment on Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We will go ahead and turn it over to our city attorney. Mr. City Attorney, what matters will the council be discussing in closed session today?
Mr. Mayor, we have 2 items on closed session. D1 is conference with real property negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. It's regarding property located in the northwest corner of Redlands Boulevard and Cactus Avenue. The city's negotiator is our city manager, Brian Mohan, and he will be negotiating with the owner of the property, Oscar Graham. But the negotiating parties are the City of Moreno Valley and Pasco Pacifica, and will be negotiating price and terms of payment. Now, the reason why items like this go into closed session is because we're dealing with tax dollars, and we don't want to put the city at a disadvantage, the taxpayers at a disadvantage, if we disclose the terms of our negotiations of price and terms. It's just like a private transaction. Item D2 is conference of legal counsel regarding potential initiation of litigation. That's pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 D4. That regards one potential case. Now, the reason an item like this goes into closed session is that we don't want to disclose our litigation strategy to a potential individual or entity we're thinking about filing a lawsuit against. That puts the taxpayers at a disadvantage if that information is made public. But we do have to announce if we do initiate litigation in open session. So those are the two items we'll be considering in closed session.
Thank you very much. With that, we will recess into closed session. Good afternoon. Welcome back to our closed session here in the city of Moreno Valley. At this time, I'll turn it over to our city attorney. Mr. City Attorney, was there any reportable action taken in closed session today?
Yes, there was, Mr. Mayor. On item D1, the City Council voted 5-0 with Mayor Cabrera, Mayor Pro Tem, District Council Member Gonzalez, District Council Member Baca Santa Cruz, District Council Member Delgado, and Council Member Bernard voting yes to purchase approximately 35 acres of vacant, unimproved land located at the northwest corner of Redlands Boulevard and Cactus Avenue from Pasco Pacifica for the location and construction of a public safety campus for police, fire, and paramedic personnel and equipment for $16 million, subject to an appraisal justifying the land's intended use fair market value with a 30-day escrow period. On item D2, the council took no reportable action. And that concludes our closed session announcements.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. So with that, we will officially conclude our closed session for today, and we'll be back in just a moment for our special presentations. Thank you.
Good evening. Tonight we begin our special presentations by recognizing National CPR and AED Awareness Week. I'll say the acronym: National Cardiopulmonary Resuscitation and Automated External Defibrillator Awareness Week, June 1st through 2nd. It reminds us that emergencies can happen anywhere, at home, at work, at school, or in our community. It also reminds us that CPR training, quick action, and a calm voice can help save a life. Tonight, Moreno Valley has a powerful example of that. On February 3rd, 2026, Steve Muro II experienced a sudden medical emergency. In that moment, his son, Steve Muro III, called 911. He stayed calm, he listened, and he took action. On the other end of the call was dispatcher Emily Cochran with the Riverside County Fire Department. For several critical minutes, she guided Steve through compression-only CPR. She gave clear instructions, she kept him focused, and she stayed with him until first responders arrived. Because of that teamwork, Steve Muro II was transported to the hospital and has since made a full recovery. That is why this recognition matters. It shows us that training matters, that dispatchers matter. It shows us that someone is willing to act, a life can be saved. At this time, I invite Steve Muro II, Steve Muro III, and dispatcher Emily Cochran to join me at the front, which they're already here. Please give them a round of applause. Tonight, we are grateful that Steve Muda II is here with us. Recognize Steve Muda III for his courage, quick thinking, and love for his father. We're also proud to recognize Dispatcher Emily Cochran for her calm guidance, professionalism, and life-saving support. Together, you showed Moreno Valley what life-saving teamwork does. At this time, would either of you like to share a few words? Emily, Mr. Mudo.
I just want to say thank you to everyone for coming, and then of course Emily for helping me, do everything and walk me through everything. I really appreciate that.
On behalf of the Mayor and City Council, the City of Moreno Valley proudly proclaims June 1st through 7th as National CPR and AED Awareness Week. We also proudly recognize Steve Muda III and Dispatcher Emily Cochran as hometown CPR heroes in appreciation of their courage, composure, and life-saving actions. And now let's take a picture. Please invite my peers. Nice big smiles, and 1, 2, 3. Wonderful.
Any family pictures? Any family here? You'd like to go ahead and come on up? Yeah. You gotta get one for Facebook, right?
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, I'm on record.
Oh. I want one. There you go.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. One more time. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Sorry, I made it happen. Awesome. Thank you so much.
This concludes our special presentations, and we will start shortly here at 6 p.m. Open session. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to the joint meeting of the City Council of the City of Moreno Valley. The City Council receives a separate stipend from the Community Services District if any CSD business is conducted at this meeting. I now call the meeting to order on June 2nd, 2026 at 6:01 p.m. Would any of my colleagues like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening? Councilmember Baca Santa Cruz will lead us in the pledge. Please remain standing after the pledge for the invocation given by Pastor David Carlson from Moreno Christian Assembly.
Please stand if you're able to. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
Good evening, Pastor.
Good evening. Thank you for the invitation. Let's pray. Lord, we're so thankful for who you are. We're so thankful, Lord, that you love us, that you sent your son Jesus to die on the cross for our sins. And Lord, I just pray for our city tonight. Lord, I pray for all that represent our city, that work for our city, that are elected officials. Lord, I pray that you will have your hand upon them and keep them safe. Lord, that you would give them wisdom, direction. Lord, that you would give them discernment on decisions and people who want to invest in our city or do business in our city. Lord, would you give them discernment and wisdom in regards to that? To those who run the operations of our city, Lord, I pray that you will continue to give them direction and guidance, Lord, that we would be a city that finds favor because we want to walk according to truth and what is right for all its citizens and those who reside here. So, Lord, we ask you to bless this meeting tonight. Bless these elections across our state, Lord, that there be no fraud or weird things going on, but, Lord, everything would just be crisp and clean and everything would run well. And, Lord, we know that you direct the steps. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you very much. And we will move to our next item, which is a land acknowledgement. And we wish to acknowledge that we are on the unceded lands of the Cahuilla, Payocahuicham, or Luiseño, who as original inhabitants and now as sovereign tribal nations have continued to live and thrive upon these lands since time immemorial. Next up, roll call. Madam Clerk, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Bernard?
Here.
Councilmember Delgado is absent. Councilmember Baca Santa Cruz?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gonzalez?
Here.
And Mayor Cabrera.
Here.
Thank you.
We will move to item F. Are there any requests to excuse any absences?
There are no requests. Councilmember Delgado is taking a personal day.
Thank you. Next, G, staff introductions, please.
Sonia Gomez, Senior Deputy City Clerk.
Paul Bradvica, Management Analyst.
Stephen Quintanilla, City Attorney.
Brian Mohan, City Manager.
Lana Jimenez, Assistant City Manager of Administration.
Felicia London, Chief Financial Officer, City Treasurer.
Sean Kelleher, Assistant City Manager Development.
Robert Alvarez, Community Enhancement and Neighborhood Services Division Manager.
Melissa McLean, Economic Development Manager.
Melissa Walker, Director of Public Works.
Jeremy Budnick, Director of Parks and Community Services.
Robert Cardenas, Human Resources Director.
Jesse Park, Fire Chief.
Sarah Mack, Chief of Police.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be here in the chamber to conduct the people's business. And next up, we have item H, approval of the order of agenda. I'll look to my colleagues to see if there are any requests. If not, we can entertain a motion and a second to approve the order of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the order of the agenda.
I second that motion.
There's a motion and a second. Please call for the vote.
Councilmember Bernard? Yes. Councilmember Baca Santa Cruz?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gonzalez?
Yes.
And Mayor Cabrera.
Yes.
Thank you.
And before we move to public comments, just want to make sure that everyone's computers are working. It looks like they are. Okay, perfect. Next is item I, public comments on matters that are not on the agenda. A friendly reminder that the city now offers language translation services through a free app called Wordly. The app automatically translates a variety of languages into English and vice versa. To use this service, please scan the QR code at the speaker's sign-up table. For the visually impaired, please use your earphones or earbuds to listen to the verbal translation. Thank you. If you do not have any such listening devices, please let the city clerk know, and we will gladly let you borrow some for this meeting. La ciudad ahora ofrece servicios de traducción de idiomas a través de una aplicación gratuita llamada Wordly. Si gusta usar este servicio, por favor avísele a la secretaria y entregue una tarjeta para hablar. Para usar la traducción, escanee el código QR que está junto a las puertas. Before we move on to public comments, I'd like to remind everyone to direct their comments to the City Council. For comments on items that are on tonight's agenda, each speaker will have a total of 3 minutes to comment. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to comment on non-agenda items?
Yes, we do, Mayor. We have about 7 public speakers. The first 3 speakers is Dina Hargivis, Fred Buñuelos, and Seth Cox.
Deanna Hargraves. Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Tonight, I'm not here to talk about McDonald's. I'm here to talk about accountability. For weeks, residents raised concerns. We raised concerns about traffic. We raised concerns about neighborhood impacts. We raised concerns about a proposed 24-hour drive-through operation. We raised concerns about homes located approximately 87 feet from the project site. We raised concerns about whether the conclusions being presented actually match the evidence. And despite those concerns, the recommendation remained the same: approve the project. Then the Planning Commission looked at the same project, the same documents, the same evidence, the same concerns. And after nearly 5 hours of testimony and deliberation, every commissioner voted no. Not one commissioner supported the recommendation. Not one. And that should concern every Moreno Valley resident, because the public did not change. The project did not change. The evidence did not change. Only the level of scrutiny changed. So I'm left with one simple question. If the recommendation could not withstand scrutiny before 4 planning commissioners, why was it recommended for approval in the first place? Because the role of the staff is not merely to process applications. The role of the staff is to challenge assumptions, to identify concerns, to test conclusions, and to ensure recommendations can withstand scrutiny before they are placed before decision makers. And looking at the outcome of this case, residents have a right to ask whether that happened, because when a recommendation fails to convince a single planning commissioner, that should not be the end of the conversation. It should be the beginning of accountability. What happened? What was missed? What was learned? And what will be done differently next time? Because accountability is not measured when everything goes right. Accountability is measured by what happens when something goes wrong. And when a recommendation fails to convince a single planning commissioner, residents deserve answers. Thank you for your time.
The next public speaker is Fred Buñuelos.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to tell you that I had a great time at the Public Safety Expo. I kind of made my rounds, and I noticed that there was 2 ladies sitting at a spot which I didn't know what they did, so I went and had a conversation with them. And come to find out, I found out that they were dispatchers. They were actually instructors. So I had a great conversation. You know, I told them that I've gone on a few ride-alongs in the past in our city, and I like to see things on my own. I want to see it from my own eyes of how they do things. So I ended up asking them, I said, hey, can you set me up with a sit-along? And they said, sure. So I want to tell you about my experience with that. Had a great time. I went to the one in Riverside, I believe it's Alessandro, and right from the get-go, the very first person that came in, the supervisor, April, was very friendly, told me how this was going to go down, that I'd be sitting in 2 separate sections. I went to the call takers first, and it was great because I didn't even really have to ask any questions. They were telling me things that I already wanted to know. They were on it, telling me how things are done, how the different monitors work. And I believe that was Dana, who it was the first person that I talked to. After that, they took me to the radio area, and that was pretty good to see because there's different stations of how the sheriff's department has different dispatch centers in that office where they different parts of our county that they dispatch for. I ended up sitting with Rebecca for that. And it was kind of funny because when I was at the call taker place, I said, "Hey, any chance you guys recognize my voice?" Because I tend to call the non-emergency on occasion. So that was kind of funny. But one of the things that I want to talk to the powers that be is I learned that the city of Paris has a tool that Moreno Valley doesn't have. So I want to see about getting that certain tool, and I'll talk to other people about it later. But it's a very good tool, and I think our city needs it. I really don't want to get into it too much here. But again, I had a great time. If you can let the people know, their supervisors and at the dispatch center, that I had a great time. It was very informative. I learned a couple of things that I didn't know already, and it was a great experience. I got to see with my own eyes what they do. All right, thank you guys.
The next speaker is Seth Cox.
Evening, council, mayor, staff, audience, people online. Seth Cox, community, whatever I am. All right. Some of my favorite subjects, I brought them up before. I'll read them off and then make a few comments. Non-operational cars, vehicles parked in the city, overall parking, vendors, street vendors, ones that walk the curbs, the ones that park in inappropriate areas, and then probably my favorite one that I haven't spoken about again, but the building's still there and it's still nothing done. Stater Brothers, okay? I go by there every week. It's still boarded up, so undoubtedly we haven't made any progress. I drive all around the city and things that I do, so I'm not just talking about District 3 that I live in, but we have a problem with abandoned non-op vehicles parked all over the place, in some people's yards, in some open fields. They're there. I believe it's code enforcement. So same thing on parking. I drive through cul-de-sacs and I can hardly turn around in that cul-de-sac because they stack cars 3 and 4 deep in their driveways and they stick out in the cul-de-sacs. Okay? First of all, they're in violation if they block the sidewalk, which they do, let alone that they're parked all the way out in the street. Vendors, we have rules around about street vendors, where they can do, I think they're supposed to pull permits, but they're not supposed to be on streets that exceed 25 miles an hour, 35, I forget what it is, but they do it. They park on unimproved ground right off the street. I had one person I was following yesterday, decided they wanted to stop real quick and just jammed on brakes and pulled over onto the dirt flying everywhere to stop at the vendor. So those are my observations and questions tonight. Can we do anything about it? I'll put it under the title of beautification of Moreno Valley. That is one of our goals, I believe. Thank you.
The next 3 speakers are Nevea Carrillo, George Haig, followed by David Zeitz.
Ready? Hello, Council. I'm here this evening to discuss my concerns on the Flock AI safety cameras that are popping up all around the city. If anybody here doesn't know what Flock is, it is a surveillance company that claims to only be license plate readers. They state that with these license plate readers, they could drop the crime rate down to 0% in cities. This is a slippery slope, especially in a city where the population is mostly people of color, because in order to drop the crime rate that low, you must predict crime before it happens. And how do you do that? You start profiling people on only if they look suspicious. And although this company claims to only be license plate readers, these cameras have microphones and they track where you've been and where you're going, along with scanning bumper stickers, dents in your car, and even your face. This greedy company is co-owned by Peter Thiel, a man that's name has been mentioned over 2,200 times in the Epstein files. And if that's not enough to make you grimace, this company helps Israeli occupation forces in the genocide of Palestinian people, and they have been found to sell our information to third parties like DHS and immigration enforcement. These cameras are easily hackable, and this has been proved time and time again as people manipulate these cameras and use the information they store to stalk ex-partners and to spy on children. They mistakenly incriminate people, like a Colorado woman who was mistaken as a package thief by these AI cameras for driving her car in the wrong place at the wrong time. They also cost thousands of dollars to maintain. Now, if this isn't enough, our own mayor, Ulysses Cabrera, was employed by Flock Safety, and he did not disclose his employment by this company on his Form 700 until 6 months after election. Why didn't he disclose that information? Because it was a direct conflict of interest. Since 2021, Moreno Valley taxpayer money was used to pay $3 million to Flock Surveillance and $2 million to pay for Cabrera's federal civil lawsuit in November 2025, despite the conflict of interest between the city council and where our funds should be spent. Where could we have spent this $5 million to make our city actually more safe? We could have made cooling stations for our homeless because it gets over 100 degrees in the summer. We could have planted more trees on our sidewalks. We could have had more after-school programs for our youth of all ages. A city-funded tutoring programs that are free because many kids struggle in their academics. Food banks and farmers markets, community outreach programs. We could have provided shade for our bus stops, community events, cultural events, a homeless shelter, a senior shelter, or more funding for little leagues and special education. But instead, Cabrera was selfish and abused his position of power to benefit himself and the greedy surveillance company that he was employed by. I'm asking the city to divest and remove all Flock surveillance from our streets, as our rights to privacy are.
Thank you.
The next public speaker is George Haig, followed by David Seitz, followed by Mr. Christopher Baca.
Good evening, George Haig. Last Planning Commission meeting, the ordinance representing negotiations between the city and the Attorney General about impacts of warehouses, especially the health impacts of warehouses on sensitive receptors, was to be voted upon. It appears our planners are again making it easy to build more warehouses. Remember, we have an additional 9 warehouses, which the ordinance will not impact. 4 approved and not built, and 5 going through planning. So that's 9 warehouses. This ordinance will not impact, added to the 13,000 daily truck trips of the World Logistics Center we're all waiting for. Only because Planning Commissioner Zeitz asked for a continuance do I have a chance to talk about this. It was handed to the planning commissioners basically as they sat down for the meeting. The public didn't have a chance to review it. And so there we have a chance to look at this document, which according to the Attorney General was supposed to provide distance between these toxic warehouses and sensitive receptors. While they did strike out one of the more difficult areas, which is 1,000 feet, the sensitive receptors would be from truck bays and doors, that doesn't help at all, or very little help, because the rest of the warehouse can be quite close. They did not replace it with anything. There's nothing there from the Attorney General. The Attorney General said the following in their print. You'll have it later. Setbacks. All warehouse projects developed under General Plan Update 2024 shall be located at least 1,000 feet from sensitive receptors. At least. That's the minimum. It could be 1,200, 1,500 if you wish. Also, air filtration abatement fund. The city shall create an abatement fund for subsidizing air filtration and/or HVAC systems for residents within 1,000 feet. Again, there's your 1,000 feet. City's ordinance that they pushed through or wanted to push through would not have had anything because they removed it. The city staff seems to care less about the residents of Moreno Valley than the Attorney General up in Sacramento, which is totally wrong. Before this ordinance goes before the Planning Commission, once again, and they will hear it, June 11th, before it goes, it needs to be changed in such a way that it represents what the Attorney General is requiring of this city to protect us and the residents and the children in schools and in hospitals and in parks. Thank you.
The next three speakers is David Zeitz, followed by Christopher Baca, followed by Lindsay Robinson.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff, and the citizens of Moreno Valley. I come here before you tonight to announce my candidacy for the City of Moreno Valley Council for District 2. With that being said, a little about myself. I am a 40-year-plus resident. I have lived that entire time in District 2 north of the freeway. My wife and I moved here a few months before we became a city. Loving the diversity of the city from open spaces to suburban housing. We raised 3 beautiful children here. As a small business owner, I was able to divide my time with many worthwhile activities, such as a baseball coach, softball coach, Girl Scout leader, Boy Scout leader, which my son and myself are both Eagle Scouts. In our later in life, we have assisted in animal rescue, foster, and transportation, where my wife and I have assisted in over 500 furry friends on their way to their forever homes. I am in my 3rd year of a 4-year term with the city's Planning Commission. Thank you, Councilman Member Delgado, for recommending me for that position and the support of the rest of the council to vote me in. Some have stated that I am anti-development. I'm not. I am for responsible development. Development and growth that will benefit our citizens and our city, not degrade our neighborhoods, our property values, our health and safety and welfare of our citizens. That shows in all of my questions and statements during Planning Commission and my voting record. I want the citizens of Moreno Valley to be proud of their city and brag that they live here. Thank you for your time. David Zeitz, candidate for District 2 City Council.
The next public speaker is Christopher Baca.
Good evening, community. I'm here as a community activist for municipal transparency, honesty, and ethics in our local city governments. I am very discouraged and disappointed in the conduct of our city staff, our chief executive officers that are running our city, and in my opinion, are corrupt and doing things for special interests. On another note, at our last meeting where there were requests for future agenda items, and previously the warehouse issue was brought up, I'm also in similar mind to Mr. Zykes that just mentioned, I'm not anti-growth. I'm not anti-development. I am anti-corruption and anti-special interests. With that in mind, Ms. Shalinda Bernard twice has brought up the warehouse issue. The warehouse issue really is not going to impact our city anymore than it has. I believe the warehouses we have in the future will be beneficial to a local economy after the downfall of our national or state economy. We can develop a local economy with local manufacturing that includes warehousing for hydronics, food growth, and so forth. So the warehousing issue, in my opinion, is not the big issue for a political stunt that I believe Ms. Bernard is trying to push by limiting the warehouse issue. That warehouse issue should have been brought up since day one of your candidacy, since day one that you've been sitting there. Now, all of a sudden that you're running for re-election, you want to stop warehousing. That's not going to impact our city whatsoever, other than to make you something that you're not. You are in cahoots with special interests. You are in cahoots with our corrupt management. You are in cahoots with our corrupt staff in corruption, in special interest. So don't sit there with your remarks, and I'm telling you to your face, I hear your comments, and I don't appreciate them, okay? I respect you. From day one, I helped you with your campaign. If you want support and you want to win this, the best thing you can do is rescind the WLC agreement. That is corruption there, and I guarantee you I will volunteer 1,000 hours in your campaign if you bring up the issue of rescinding those development agreements with a corrupt developer. Thank you very much.
The next three speakers are Lindsay Robinson, Luis Palomares, and Roy Bleckard.
Council and public and staff, I'm going to piggyback off what Ms. Hargrave said about the Planning Commission meeting last week that went very, very late. I hope you read the staff report and all of the data that residents sent you that proved the staff was false, just like we did with the general plan update, and the residents of the Northeast gave you all the false information. We proved that your staff were lying to you. And again, they're getting six-figure salaries to put out crap that makes no sense. And please read all the data you were given on that project on Ironwood and Pigeon Pass. It's important as your job to not just follow what the staff says, especially because you know they're lying. So please, please read about this and do something. It sure looks like, if you read other staff reports, that they're using AI to generate them. All of them should be approved with with a CEQA exemption, which isn't how everything should be. Also, whoever the environmental consultant was, again, did a horrible job, just like with both general plan updates. They said no negative impact with traffic, noise, pollution, etc. Obviously, if you read this data, you will see that there is severe impacts. One of the most offensive comments I've heard in a long time up on the dais, Mr. Mayor, was when you said, let's just pass the general plan, it's dragged on for too long. Why did it drag on? Because of your severely flawed EIRs. You're penalizing the residents of the Northeast for your bad judgment on consultants. So please, please start reading the documents, hold the staff accountable, stop letting them lie. My last comment is, during campaigns, there's a lot of promises made. 3 of you up there have promised 6 districts. 2 of you promised it twice, as did Marquez, and yet none of you have brought it forward yet. The Northeast was not represented in 2020 because our councilperson died, and Mr. Delgado has not represented the Northeast at all. We need 6 districts so we get representation. 3 of you can put it on a future agenda. Your term is almost up. You're going to be dark probably in July, so let's get moving forward to 6 districts so we can have representation too, and you stop destroying our neighborhood. Give us the parks and trails that we deserve. We've requested a wilderness park there at Nason Ironwood, and it's been ignored. You want to put 544 homes in a very high fire district. You know, it's just nonsense what the staff is bringing forward. Most of them don't live here. Most of them don't care. We live here. We put our hearts and souls into this city in many different respects.
The next speaker is Luis Palomares.
Luis Palomares, community activist. Wow, I'm going to do a high note today. I went to go vote. I lost my ballot, so I had to go vote in person. But anyway, it was an action-packed planning commission the other day. The room was filled with at least over 100 people, outside and inside, plus I think almost 50 speakers on the McDonald's up there. And they were giving free McDonald's over there. I mean, not free McDonald's, sorry. At Jose's, they're giving free breakfasts Monday through Friday from, I think, 10 to 2. So whoever don't know about it, go get it, you know. And also, I wanted to go on another, the vote. You know, our nation is in a mess. Our nation is in a mess. We're in a war. And I mean, I hate to wake up and see what the next day has to bring. I mean, we got our own problems here, and we got plenty of them. But wow, nationwide and countrywide, we're in a mess and a war. And it worries me. So hopefully we get some right people in these seats, the new seats that are coming up, and hopefully we get some things done. Something's got to change. Something's got to change. And again, about, I think I spoke about it the other day at the planning, about we don't need no more storage places, because I think there's going to be coming one on the Planning Commission on the 11th. It's on the agenda. We don't need no more storage places. We got them all over the city. We don't need, I mean, we can't afford the house payments or the rent, so then we got to move out and move with somebody and put our stuff in storage. Why do we need more? Also, Dollar Tree, 99. We don't need any more of those stores, because what that says about a community is this is what our community is. 99-cent stores, Dollar Trees, etc. We got to do better than that. Let's get some nice restaurants in here. You know, let's get some nice stuff in here like Eastvale has. Go look at that city. Even Fontana. Go look at that city. All of you council members and the mayor, go look at what they're doing over there. Let's think out of the box. Let's think big. We're better than all that. We're in the middle. We're in the best spot here. We got all the freeways here. I mean, but no, we don't have enough here to keep. We're on a commute. We don't got no restaurants. Another thing, as far as the car washes, I don't know. We got to do a moratorium on car washes, storage places, and Dollar Trees and 99ers. I don't know how many more can we put here. We got one in every part of the city. It's too much. We got to stop, and let's bring some good restaurants. Let's bring some good stores here. That's what we got to do. God, I have time left. Okay, thank you so much. Go vote.
The last public speaker is Roy Bleckert.
Amazing. It was not Hurricane Louise who had the mayor in the crosshairs. You could do this, and if you haven't, you should tune in to the Riverside County Board of Supervisors this morning, agenda item 3.7, the budget adjustments. And I will tell you, the one public speaker that spoke, not one of the executive staff or the Board of Supervisors disputed or made an argument against what one public speaker said. That public speaker pointed out what was in the report. In Riverside County, there is little hope. I bet you didn't read that. Maybe that's why you hear the concerns you see coming up here and across our political spectrum. The plight of Riverside County's human capital is low. And that does not bode well for the economic stability future for this county. said our per capita income was equal to Waco, Texas. There was a time when that wasn't the case. I happened to live through that time. Most of you have not. And I find it very interesting that those that want to argue that we stay on the same trajectory we are on want to say, oh, you guys were doing it wrong. Oh, you were a bunch of racists. Oh, you did this. Oh, you did that. Well, you know what? The free market worked. The Declaration of Independence works. You cannot violate those principles, ever, unless you want failure. And we're seeing that today, right here in Riverside County, right here in Moreno Valley. It's up to us to change it. Do we have the will to do it?
Mayor, that concludes all public comments on items not on the agenda.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk, and thank you to all of our public speakers as well. We will now move into our joint consent calendars. And before I open the consent calendar for public comment, I will look to my colleagues to see if there are any items that they wish to remove from the consent calendar for separate action or any questions or comments. I do have one item, maybe we don't need to pull it, but would like some information just for the public's awareness on item J4 pertaining to the Rancho del Sol golf course and the property there. Yeah, if staff could maybe just speak to that so that the public is aware of what that item consists of. But other than that, I don't see any other requests from the council. And so with that, if staff would like to just speak on that item briefly, and then we can move into public comment.
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. So this particular item is a long time coming, and basically what it is it is the assignment of the maintenance agreement from the current owners to a new entity, RDS. RDS actually runs the Desert Falls Country Club in Palm Desert. So the assignment of the agreement brings forward all of the normal verbiage of the agreement. So the city retains all of the same requirements that are put onto RDS. They also have to have a performance bond and certain easements that are recorded with the city so that the city can ensure that the maintenance of the golf course occurs. Now, on this particular maintenance agreement, it includes two things. One, it's the 18-hole course that currently resides as a playable course. It also includes 9 additional holes that are called the Lake 9. And in essence, what will occur with this maintenance agreement is the new company, RDS, is going to solve the current community enhancement citations and concerns with those 9 holes. And they're going to concentrate on bringing the 18 holes to their level of standards, very similar to what is out in Palm Desert from a playing course. And then they're going to concentrate on bringing the additional 9 holes, or what is considered Lake 9, to playable holes as well. With that, that includes or concludes my comments, and hopefully I've answered your concerns, but both the city attorney and I are available for any questions.
Thank you. Maybe just one follow-up question on that. With the assignment, if that goes through and it's approved by the council, just to clarify for the public in simple terms, the various requirements and items that the current agreement requires the developer or the property owner to complete, those will still be required to be completed, correct? None of that is changing.
That's correct with respect to the golf course, which includes the clubhouse and Lake Nine.
Thank you.
And just additionally, the current owner of the apartments and that particular parcel still has to meet all of the requirements for occupancy related to the apartments and so forth.
Very good, thank you. If there are no other questions or comments from the dais at this time, we would go ahead and move into public comment. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak on the consent calendar?
Yes, we do, Mayor. We have 3 public speakers. The first one is Mr. Seth Cox.
Evening again, Seth Cox. You guys stole my thunder on J4, but I will ask my questions anyway. Thank you, Mr. Mohan, for your comments there. It cleared up a few things, but this thing still smells, okay? I look back at the 2018 documentation. It was signed by 2 different companies, both of them called Rock 3 Belago 2, all right? I will point out that was signed in 2018, and in 2017, Mayor Cabrero accepted $2,500 from Rock 3 for his campaign to get on the city council. So that's enough. I would like to understand how something this complex, this expensive, because it had a $4 million, I call it an insurance policy to make sure the golf course stayed open. And for every year it stayed open, that insurance policy got paid back to the owner. Well, if it's got the name of Belago in it, you can probably imagine who owns it. Maybe. I won't mention any names. But in my mind, that owner right now has exhausted all his return on investment, and he's passing it off to another company, RDS, that supposedly doesn't have any business with it right now. But if you go to their website, they say they actually currently manage the golf course. But on their website, if you have a comment or whatever, you're supposed to send your stuff to CS Management Company somewhere in Temecula. So who's on first here? Who's doing what? Who's responsible for what? I would say this one should be taken off the consent calendar, brought back and talked to it in general business stuff, and get to who's on first. Who's going to be responsible for things going forward? Again, I'm not a lawyer. They probably already done it, but Mr. Mohan's short comments there, I don't think, told the whole story. Thank you.
The next speaker is Christopher Baca.
Good evening again. Again, community activist for municipal transparency, honesty for Moreno Valley. On J4, glad to see that staff is actually throwing this poor developer a bone, whereas when it comes to other developers, they bend over backwards and give them, grant them, taxpayer credits and so forth, and they're absolutely of no benefit to the city. Yet this developer has apartment complex with lots of vacant apartments that the city refuses to grant them a permit, and they've been going on a year now with vacancies, but yet I'm glad to see that you're finally allowing them something. If they are corrupt, why is it that the city or the staff can see that this developer is not justified in granting him their request, but yet the real corruption and the obvious corruption is overlooked. So, as far as J4 is concerned, it's very sad that you hold them to a higher standard than the real corruption. On J7th, with the municipal elections, I'd like to see a discussion on moving that to the county, because I believe we're in jeopardy of having some mishap here. I don't appreciate how there's no transparency when it comes to our municipal elections as far as the city clerk is concerned on posting a daily update. You have to wait till the thing is done. That's not honesty. You're hiding something. Why aren't you letting the people know what's going on? The county does, and the city runs them differently. I don't think that's fair. J10 on what is this? Oh, the pavement. Why don't we have it in-house and buy our own equipment? Again, you're throwing money down the drain for crap that the people are doing now. On J11th, does that have anything to do with the utility building that Benzivi that you guys bought that nobody knows about, that was owned by Highland Fairview, their old headquarters, and now you're going to, what was that about? Why didn't we ever know? Why don't we know what's going on there? Is that where the money's going? So anyhow, back to the elections, I really think we need to have more transparency and have a daily, if the city clerk's going to run it, have a daily update on everything going on with our elections when this comes about. We don't need anything hidden. We don't need none of, you also have to do your job as far as investigating.
The next speaker is Roy Bleckert.
Addressing J4, the golf course, that was proposed when we had the best economic and education demographics in this county. When it was built, we were starting on the downhill slide. The reason the golf course is in the condition it is not because of any one developer or who's running it. It's because of this community and the community we've created. Prove me wrong. If market conditions would support a thriving golf course, we would have a thriving golf course. J5. The attendance of you on the dais from the subcommittee meetings and commissions that you're liaisons on, Mr. Ed, very good attendance. At least Elena's on the plus side of it. The three from the center left on the dais, not so good. Seems to be that this is a reoccurring problem. You're well aware of it because yours truly has brought it forward, not only for weeks, months, decades. Why don't we propose a fix to this? Whether you don't have the ability to carry out the duties that you sought as elected officials, then if that's the case, you should do the honorable thing and resign. If that's not the case, you should come up with a solution where you are able to attend these meetings as you swore an oath to the Constitution to serve as your duties. Seems to be, from the evidence we have, that's too much to ask. That should not be the case. You wonder why the Riverside County report comes out as it is? That we're in deep doo-doo, as George Poppy Bush said. These are the reasons why. We could be proactive. We could be on top of it. We could be leading the charge. Or we could be jumping off the caboose like we usually do. Choice is yours. We'll see what you do.
The next speaker is Luis Palomares.
Wow. Anyway, Luis Palomares, community activist. I was talking to the city manager. I called him the other day to ask him about what's going on with the freeway. It's out of our jurisdiction, the 215 changeover from the 60 going south. And he gave me the information who to call and get, some information, some answers. Because if you're going from the 60 onto the 215, it's almost a train wreck ready to happen. It's a mess. You're sliding all over imagine when it's raining. It's going to be bad. I always go that way because I go see my grandson at the Riverside National. And, I've seen people almost hit and miss right there. So hopefully this council could also make a call. I'm going to make a call, and I'm going to give a number here. It's called, wow, I can't see. I don't got my glasses on. District 8, Riverside, San Bernardino County. The number is 909-3834-631. People call. People in the room here call and complain about that piece there. They said they're working their way this way from Paris, but by the time they get this way, who knows what can happen then. So make the call. And as far as the commissions and the boards and the committees that the council sits on, if you don't got the time, make a way, or, like Roy said, step aside, give somebody that chance or that turn to do it. Because I get it. You guys are busy. You got all kinds of things going on. You're all over the map trying to do this and that. But, these meetings are important. They're important that you show face there. Because then the commissioners that are there, they're saying, well, wait a minute. Why ain't our mayor here? Why ain't our pro tem mayor? Why ain't, District 4 here? Why? Yeah, make that commitment, please. Make that commitment. Thank you.
Mayor, that concludes all public comments on items on the consent calendar.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk, and thank you to all of our public speakers. We will go ahead and bring it back to the dais for council questions, council deliberation if desired. Are there any comments from the council? I do want to briefly, I know it's not on the agenda, but I did want to respond to one of them because it is a public safety issue. The pavement on the 215, and I know staff has some information, but maybe we can do some kind of PSA or something. It's been maybe 2 years ago now that a coalition of mayors, Riverside Mayor, Paris Mayor, and myself sent a joint letter up to Caltrans and the legislature to ask them to address the pavement on the 215 because it is terrible. It's in terrible condition. And there's way too much information for me to go into now. But they, over the past couple of years, have gone through the procurement process and created the schedules for construction. And it's not as soon as I would like it to be, or many of us would like it to be, but they're scheduled to do the pavement through Moreno Valley on the 215 in both directions starting in mid-2027, so next year. They're scheduled to start. Again, it's not as quick as we would like it to happen, but it is coming down the pipeline. And for right now, you're seeing the work happening in Paris, you're seeing the work happening in Riverside, and they're working their way all the way through the city of Moreno Valley. So maybe if we can do some kind of PSAs or inform the public, I think that would be really helpful. And we will continue, thank you for sharing the phone number, because I think if residents are also reporting that, in addition to us doing our part, if the residents continue to apply that pressure on the state as well, I think it definitely will make a difference and hopefully will move that needle even further. So just wanted to briefly provide some background information on that. All good? Okay, thank you. If there are no further questions or comments from the council, we can make a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar.
I motion to approve the consent calendar.
I second that motion.
There's a motion and a second. Please call for the vote.
Councilmember Bernard?
Yes.
Councilmember Baca Santa Cruz?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gonzalez?
Yes.
And Mayor Cabrera?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move into public hearings, and a reminder that public testimony on a public hearing matter shall be limited to 3 minutes per individual and must pertain to the subject that is under consideration. Those wishing to testify should complete and submit a goldenrod speaker slip to the city clerk's staff. Item K1 is a public hearing establishing appropriations for what's called GAN limit for fiscal year 26-27, and we will hand it over to our Chief Financial Officer and City Treasurer, Felicia London, for a staff report.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members. This is a routine annual item in which Section 7910 of the state Government Code requires a governing body to adopt by resolution a GAN appropriation limit every fiscal year. The GAN appropriation limit is the result of Proposition 4 enacted in 1979, which places limits on the amount of tax proceeds that can be appropriated each year. The Community Services District Board of Directors and the City Council will adopt the findings and methods of calculation, the proceeds of tax calculations, the appropriation limit calculation, and the summary of the annual appropriation limit. Both the Community Services District and the General Fund adopted budget revenues, which are separated into budgeted proceeds of taxes and non-budgeted tax proceeds. Those revenues that are considered taxes are subject to the appropriations limit. The tax is multiplied by the percent change in California per capita income and percent change in the City of Moreno Valley's population, which are released in May of every year by the California Department of Finance. The appropriations limit from FY 25-26 and the change, as previously discussed above, results in the appropriation limit for FY 26-27. For FY 26-27, the limit for the general fund is $192,172,311 to be specific, in which our revenues are subject to the limit total of $165,337,920. The limit for the district is $30,967,251, in which our revenues are subject to the limit total of $14,606,737. This information shows there is still significant capacity to accommodate future revenue growth. This concludes my report, and I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Ms. London. We will bring it back to the dais for any council questions of staff. Seeing no questions, we will go ahead and open the public testimony portion. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak on this item?
Yes, we do. Roy Bleckert.
So we get the annual civics lesson on the GAN limits in Prop 4. It was born out of Prop 13 in 1978, overwhelmingly passed by the citizens of California, which saved the homes of millions of people, mostly seniors. Jerry Brown got a hold of it with Paul Gann, who put in place from 1979, when Prop 4 passed, government of the state of California would not grow past population and inflation increase. In 1987, we got $1 billion tax refund. I'm sure everybody cashed that check. 1990 and 1988, for the first part of the destruction was teachers, and Prop 98 set out to destroy that because they couldn't stand that the people actually had their own money. Then they got with John Garamendi in 91 to pass Prop 11, which basically stripped the GAN spending caps. We were number one in education, economics, and opportunity everywhere in California, and now we're at the bottom. In our last budget, if the GAN spending caps were in place, we would have gotten, the citizens of California would have got a $114 billion tax refund. Now you explain to the people how we are better off with what we have. If you cannot explain that or make that case, then you should turn the discussions at least, let's put back in place the policies that had us when we were a success, when there was opportunity. when a one-bedroom studio apartment didn't cost $500,000 frickin' dollars. If you cannot make that argument that what we are doing today is that, then you should be leading the charge on how we put the policies. At least go back to what works, what we know works, instead of doubling down on stupid and stomping on the people of the state of California and Moreno Valley.
Mayor, that concludes all public testimony on this item.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. We will go ahead and bring it back up to the dais for any council questions or deliberation. Seeing none, I entertain a motion to approve the public hearing item.
So moved.
I'll second. Madam Clerk, please call for the vote.
Councilmember Bernard?
Yes.
Councilmember Baca Santa Cruz?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gonzalez?
Yes.
And Mayor Cabrera?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is item K2, a public hearing and adoption of a resolution confirming the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System regulatory rate schedule, and we will hand this one over to our Public Works Director, Melissa Walker, for a staff report.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members. This is a routine annual item to conduct a public hearing to review and confirm the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System regulatory rate schedule for fiscal year 2026-27, and to adopt a resolution approving the annual levy of the proposed regulatory rates for submission to the County of Riverside property tax roll as approved by property owners through a mail ballot proceeding. The revenue generated from these rates fund state-mandated stormwater program requirements. These funds are restricted and can only be used for stormwater management programs. That concludes my report. I would be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director Walker. We will bring it back up to the dais for any council questions of staff. Seeing no questions, we will move into public comment. Madam Clerk, do we have any requests to speak on this item?
We do not, Mayor.
Thank you. We'll bring it back up to the dais for any final comments. If not, we can entertain a motion and a second to approve staff's recommendations.
Make a motion to approve staff's recommendation.
I second the motion.
There's a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call for the vote.
Councilmember Bernard?
Yes.
Councilmember Baca Santa Cruz?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gonzalez?
Yes.
And Mayor Cabrera?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. That passes as well. We will now move into item L, our general business. We have item L1, adoption of technology disruption policy for remote public meetings in compliance with Senate Bill 707 from 2025 and the Brown Act. And we will hand this one over to our city clerk's office for a staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council. Tonight, we seek your approval to adopt a technology disruption policy for remote public meetings in compliance with Senate Bill 707 and the Brown Act. As remote access has become a regular part of public meetings, state law now requires legislative bodies that offer telephonic and internet-based access to adopt a formal policy addressing what happens if that access is disrupted. Senate Bill 707 requires this policy to be adopted at a notice public hearing by July 1st, 2026, and it must be considered in open session rather than on a consent calendar. The proposed policy establishes a clear process if members of the public are unable to access or observe a meeting remotely due to service interruption by the city. Under the policy, the presiding officer or city clerk would announce the disruption as soon as it is identified. The meeting may then be recessed for at most 1 hour while staff works to restore services. During that time, staff would make good faith efforts to troubleshoot the issue, use backup equipment if available, or contact service providers as needed. If services is restored, the meeting would resume normally. If services cannot be restored within 1 hour, the council may either adjourn the meeting or continue it after making the required finding that continuing the meeting is in the public's interest. The city clerk would also document the disruption, the response efforts, and any action taken in the meeting minutes. Adoption of the policy ensures that the city remains in compliance with state law while also supporting transparency and public participation. It gives staff and the public a clear process to follow in the event of technical difficulties and helps avoid confusion during a meeting disruption. Staff recommends that the City Council adopt the technology disruption policy as presented and direct staff to implement it for all applicable City Council meetings on or before July 1st. This concludes my report. I am available for any questions.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Now we'll move to any council questions of staff.
I have a question. So it says if it's disrupted up to an hour. So the question I have is, we broadcast typically on Facebook and YouTube. So let's say, for instance, YouTube goes down, but Facebook is still running. Would that count as a disruption and vice versa?
I'll relay the question to the city manager.
Yeah, thank you, City Clerk. This specific disruption policy as required pursuant to 707 is our dedicated internet line coming in. So we have redundancy of various providers coming in so that if one provider goes down, we can go to the other one. And it's when our connection goes down, not necessarily somebody's internet at home or Facebook or YouTube. It is literally trying to keep up the internet for us along with the telephonic and or video feeds that are going out of this building to the community.
Okay, so, and I just want that clarified because I want to make sure the public knows that if our Facebook has gone down, because that has happened before, that they're still able to log on to YouTube as long as that's running, that does not count as a disruption.
Correct. And more importantly, you can always go to our website. Our agenda software, eScribe, has a video link in it as well. And you can literally watch it from our website as opposed to any other streaming provider.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question, and maybe this is a question from a little bit from the past. During the COVID days, was the feed ever disrupted during that time frame during COVID when it was available? And what was the kind of how was it addressed?
That was a long time ago, and I thought everybody wanted to forget about COVID. I want to say that for the most part, when we were during COVID and we were doing virtual meetings, staff was in our individual offices. We were not down here because we needed to have distancing. So the bandwidth of all of us on our computers separated. I don't recall having issues. The only thing that we might have had an issue with was the platform in which we were using, whether it be at the time, I believe it was Zoom. And a lot of times you would get some break in the audio. And so if you came off of video, it reduces the bandwidth a little bit and everybody could hear each other. That's the only thing that I recall. But this is actually a little bit different because we're still in this room doing all of our normal video feeds, and it's to the community to be able to have telephonic and the ability to be on video and so forth. Also, this does not really allow council to be virtual. There are certain requirements that the city attorney will be sending to you as we're rolling out 707 that actually truncates the ability to be gone and have excused absences and so forth and try and be remote. So the city attorney will be providing that information to you for compliance in that arena. But yeah, I think the one thing that we found during COVID was they were fairly quick meetings virtually, but everybody was dealing with their own health issues and so forth.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And then one other platform where we also stream our meetings is on MV3. It's a local TV channel. If you have access to that as well, we also provide it there just in case if some other platform goes down. Are there any other questions from the council? Seeing no further questions, we can move into public testimony. Madam Clerk, do we have any public speakers?
Yes, we do, Mayor. First speaker is Roy Bleckert.
Part of this bill, is my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, is we are supposed to have access like we did in COVID from remote areas to call in like we did on Zoom. I would tell you the best one is the city of Riverside. And they have access. You can run in the Zoom meeting. You can call in. You can sit in the audience, raise your hand. They will call you. They run through that. County's okay. At least they allow phone calls. I know the city of Hemet, I think the city of Hemet School District has kept up this policy. At least they have a slight bit of concern for the residents, unlike Moreno Valley. You guys specifically, and even though it's been brought to your attention, and even though you had the hearings, we have the conflicts amongst the meetings here in our local community where you're running simultaneous meetings at the same time. At least if you would put the potential that we could Zoom in or call in, if we're over at the crime syndicate or whatever, we could still call back in here without having to run over or wherever. The contempt you have for the people is absolutely sometimes beyond belief. You spout transparency and we're doing this, you do everything but. Look at the evidence. And if it wasn't mandated that this was not to be on the consent calendar, the odds are 111% Moreno Valley would have had it on the consent calendar. So instead of already, why don't we have this in place before it is required? You had plenty of time to work on it. You could have said, this is how we do it in Moreno Valley. We're ahead of schedule. We've got it on. We've got access. No, we're behind even River City or Hemet, for crying out loud. Can we do better? I think it's blatantly obvious. Will we do better? That remains to be seen. Do I have a high confidence level we will be better?
Mayor, that concludes all public testimony.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll bring it back up to the dais for any questions, comments from the council. If not, Councilmember Bernard.
Mr. Bleckert brings up the option of telephonic and being able to dial in. I believe we are addressing that. It's already been, yes. So can you please just, so that the public is aware that that is an option? Yes, thank you.
Yes, the spirit of SB 707 is just that. So it gives the public the ability to either call in or video stream from wherever they are. And so 707 needs to be implemented by July 1st. And so the city clerk will have some additional information along with the retooling revision of the agenda to go back to the days that we were in COVID, as COVID was mentioned, where it has all of the instructions in how to call in, get into the meeting, and so forth.
Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no further questions or comments from the council, we can entertain a motion and a second to approve staff's recommendations.
I make a motion to approve staff's recommendation.
I'll second the motion.
There's a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call for the vote.
Thank you. Councilmember Bernard?
Yes.
Councilmember Baca Santa Cruz?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gonzalez?
Yes.
And Mayor Cabrera?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. That motion passes as well. We will now move into item M, the Regional Commission Committee Board reports. We only have one. It'll be very brief. This is for the Riverside Regional Conservation Authority Board of Directors meeting held on June 1st. At the RCA Board of Directors meeting, reports for the following were received and filed: the Western Riverside County MSHCP fee collection for March 26, joint project review status, acquisition status, monthly investment report for March 2026, and various consultant reports. The board also received a presentation by staff on the adoption of fiscal year 26-27 budget. The presentation included an outline of the executive summary, budget summary, revenues, sources, LDMF, expenditures, uses, land acquisitions, and debt service. The item was approved by the board without the prepayment item. And that had to do with interest rates and trying to pay down debt at the best rate possible to free up funds for future land acquisitions. Also, the board received a presentation by staff on the professional services for MSHCP compliance review. The presentation included an overview of the MSHCP compliance review, RCA compliance review, procurement process, and fiscal impact. The item was approved by the board. The next RCA meeting will be held on August 3rd, 2026 at the Riverside County Administrative Center in downtown Riverside. That'll conclude this RCA report. Next, item N, Employee Association report. We do not have one this evening, which brings us to the famous City Manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. Just one item tonight. For all of the residents who have already gone through and reviewed the soaring guide, this is just a reminder. And for all of you who haven't reviewed the soaring guide, please do, as we do have the Juneteenth event coming up on June 19th. From 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. here at the Civic Center Amphitheater on Friday, June 19th. And so please come so that you can be invited to the Celebrate the Afternoon, full of entertainment, children's activities, food booths, retail vendors, jewelry, clothing, and art, and the local artists will be here as well. It's a great event, very fun event, and so I wish everybody to be able to plan and come here. I know we have one meeting left prior to that, but I thought I would mention it so that everybody can start planning ahead and be here on Friday, June 19th. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. City Manager. Next up, we will move into closing comments from the City Council. And first up, we will go to District 4, Councilmember Bernard.
Thank you. The one thing I did want to mention is I was informed today by Parks and Recreation that there is additional funds available for swimming lessons for children 5 and under. So that is our scholarship for the children. So please, they've been adding more and more classes. So please go sign up. It's really easy to do. Once you do the link to sign up, the scholarship is right there. And so from what I understand, we have an additional $8,000 in funding that we got. Water safety is really important, especially as we get to the warmer months and the hotter months for children to know how to swim. Other than that, again, I know this is the week of graduation for a lot of our residents. I know we have TK, we have kinder. I have my baby graduates kinder on Thursday. Also, we have the college graduations. Shout out to 3 of my students are graduating from UC Riverside, and so I'm very proud of them as they move forward. But again, everyone, be safe. We will see you guys in 2 weeks. If you haven't already, you have roughly 39 more minutes or so to cast a vote. Please get down there and participate in the process. And with that, I close and have a good evening.
Thank you. Next up, we will go to District, is it District 1? No, District 2 is not here. So yeah, we will go to District 1, Councilmember Baca Santa Cruz.
Thank you so much. I just want to remind everybody, just like Councilmember Bernard did, to get out there and vote. If you are in line at 8 o'clock, you could stay in line and vote. If you are not registered, you can register in person the same day voting in California. And just a congratulations to all the students moving on from kindergarten to college, universities, and all the dads out there. So happy grads and dads. And that'll be it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we'll go to District 3, Mayor Pro Tem Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mayor. Just three things. Again, please go out and vote if you haven't done so already. We have to exercise our democratic right. It's something that's needs to be cherished and also protected at all costs. So please vote and vote your conscience. Second thing, this past Saturday, attended the Flavors of Baja in Oaxaca, Becca Salas Foundation at the official residence of the Consulate General of Mexico. It was a beautiful outdoor setting, incredible chefs. There was great ambiance, and it supports students of Mexican descent pursuing higher education here in the U.S. So grateful for the Consul Salvador Pecastre for the invitation. And finally, just want to close the meeting in remembrance of those who sacrificed themselves in D-Day, our veterans and those who participated in those 82 years ago. I know sometimes these conflicts are farther and farther away, but we honor their courage, their sacrifice, and service, and they secured our freedoms for future generations. So let's honor them as we close our meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And to my colleagues, and for my closing comments, as has been mentioned, today is Election Day. You have just over 30 minutes, about 37 minutes now, to drop off your ballot. Here at City Hall is an official ballot drop-off location. If not, you have one at Moreno Valley College and, the Riverside County Registrar of Voters over here by Sam's Club. So you still have some time. If you have not dropped off your ballot, please go ahead and do that. Or if you need to go vote, if you lost your ballot, you can still get a provisional ballot. Just make sure you take the proper identification so that they can give you one of those provisional ballots on site, and make sure that you get that, because I can't tell you how many times my colleagues can probably tell you these elections sometimes come down to 5 votes, 20 votes. It can be very close, and one neighborhood can literally make the difference in these very important elections. So please go out there and exercise your right to vote. You still have some time. Also, I will double or second the comments from Councilmember Bernard about the swimming lessons and the safety classes. That's something that the council implemented once again a couple of years ago in partnership with MVUSD. And so I know during the summer they have open swim and classes over at Valley View High School. And so, you know, just invite everybody if that's something that is of interest to you, especially if you have young children. Definitely recommend that you sign up, register for those classes as soon as you can before they get completely booked up, and just have that extra training just in case of any kind of incident or situation in the future. Also, just wanted to highlight a couple of grand openings. Sky Zone Trampoline Park is going to be opening in about a week and a half, 2 weeks officially over at the Moreno Valley Mall. So that's been a long time coming, but a new addition here. Again, just little by little, trying to bring more entertainment, better experiences for our community so that we can enjoy time here in the city of Moreno Valley as opposed to having to leave town. And so we're going to continue that momentum. But Sky Zone, that's been under construction for a long time, finally going to have their grand opening here within the next 2 weeks. Also, our second Dutch Bros is opening officially. Their grand opening is this Friday. That one is over off of Alessandro and Paris Boulevard. So that's another one for all the coffee drinkers out there. That is opening officially this Friday. Also, we have 2 grand openings for new playgrounds. So again, we talk about our youth, we talk about our children, our families here in Moreno Valley. And we continue to make those investments over time. So we have new playgrounds. Thank you, Jeremy, Director Bubnick, and your entire team at Parks and all of staff who made that happen. They are upgrading the playgrounds at Vista Lomas Park and Pedrorina Park, both over on the south side of town. And those will be getting their ribbons cut here within the next couple weeks as well. And so looking forward to having those back open so that our young residents can enjoy those once again. And then lastly, lately there's been a lot of discussion because of certain items like Jose's, for example, that was deliberated at the Planning Commission. Another one is AI data centers, for example, that across the nation, across the world really has taken our society by storm. And I think that we do need to have some in-depth, lengthy conversations, not just about AI data centers, which is critical, and we need to address that as soon as possible here in the city of Moreno Valley, but also other things like it was mentioned earlier during public comment, things like car washes and liquor stores and certain fast food establishments that, in my opinion, we may have enough of, and it's long overdue for us to lift the hood and take a look at what our economic development approach is, how we're approaching these companies, which companies we're approaching, and what our techniques are to attract a certain tier of businesses to the city. And part of it is a natural progression and natural growth of the city, but also another part of it is what we are putting our focus on, right? From the council and from our staff, and what businesses are we attracting to our city? And so I think we need to have a real in-depth conversation, whether it's a regular council meeting or a study session at some point in the near future, to figure out what these sectors and industries are going to look like moving forward in the city of Moreno Valley. It's extremely important. So just wanted to mention that, and that will conclude my comments. We have one more meeting before we go into summer recess and enjoy that heat. But for now, congratulations again to all of the graduates. Wish you a lot of continued success and all the best in your future endeavors. So with that, we will move into item Q, future agenda items, and I will look to my colleagues to see if there are any requests. Yes, seeing no requests at this time, Madam Clerk, do we have any public comment on this item?
We do, Mayor. We have 2 public comments. The first speaker is Navea.
Hey, Council. So I want an agenda item, a full just transparency item on our contracts with Flock Safety and exactly how much you made from them, Cabrera, because that's pretty important. And you talk about data centers and this and this and that. There's a data center being proposed an hour away in Coachella Valley. I don't know why the city is making investments in Flock AI Safety. And we have, 180 fucking AI cameras around the city? That's ridiculous. So if you want to have an in-depth conversation, you have to be fully transparent on what you're doing. And I mean, this is just years in the making. So I'd love to see a transparency item. That'd be great. And excuse my mouth. Sorry, that just slipped out. But yeah, that'd be amazing. Thanks.
The next speaker is Christopher Baca.
I really don't think 2 minutes will kill you if you extend the time to 3 minutes instead of 1 minute. But anyhow, I'd really like to see a study session or and create a policy on rescinding some of these development agreements. For instance, a district warehouse, that intersection is an eyesore for the community, and he promised he was going to build something there, and nothing's in the horizon. The Sunny Mead Hotel, nothing. The mall redesign, reconfiguration, nothing. It's going on 5 years, and particularly the Royal Logistics Center that's going on 10 years, maybe 15 years, nothing. It's a farce. A lot of these developers are doing this in order to sell them as improved projects that the city is investing money, time, and effort, but yet nothing is done. So we need to have some of these projects rescinded, particularly the WLC and the Aquabella that are farces.
Mayor, that concludes all public comments on this item.
Thank you very much. And with that, we will move into adjournment and close this meeting in memory of all those soldiers and military personnel who gave their lives in battle. And with that, we will officially adjourn at 7:31 p.m. Have a good night.